Okay, a little more details on the Royce Union Spirit of 76. The good news, and it's pretty much all good news, this is a fully functional bike. I just pumped up the tires and rode it around the neighborhood. So everything on this bike works. It desperately needs a tune-up, and obviously I'm going to completely overhaul it and give it a full tune-up. So we could obviously further customize this in any way you want, but anything would be optional, right? So everything on here functions, so we wouldn't be desperately searching for new parts. And I think I paid $50 for this bike. So of the two, this would probably be the least expensive to modify. It's a slightly taller frame. I measured it at a 58 centimeter frame, which for my height, and I think your height, would be the recommended size for a road bike. But there's some variability in there. That larger frame would be more comfortable if you're out riding 50 or 100 miles on a road bike. You want a larger frame. For you, if you want this for going around town and stopping at stoplights and stuff, you might be more comfortable on a smaller frame. The green bike's a little bit smaller, but it's high quality frame. It was made in Japan. It's called lug steel. These are the lugs. It's kind of an old style of making bikes. It's got these cool center pull brakes, which are old school and kind of cool. The wheels and tires are a size 27, which is an old size. They still make tires, but you don't have a whole lot of choices. So you would pretty much be stuck with skinny tires, unless we put new wheels on it, which we could. And honestly, I mean, if you wanted to go on the cheap side, these tires, I mean, they're a little bit dry rot, but I mean, they're salvageable. Some of it just depends on what's your goal here. Are you trying to do low budget, or are you trying to spend the equivalent that you would spend on a new bike, but get something, totally customized. Stay tuned. I'm going to look at the green bike soon. Right off the bat, there is an issue with this green Raleigh. The rear seat stays, I think they call these, are bent. So I've got a straight edge on the left side, and you'll see the gap at the top. And if I put the straight edge on the right side, you can see there's a gap in the center. So this frame has been bent. Now, that's fixable. If you like this frame, I wouldn't worry about it. I can bend that back into shape. Clearly, I would not use this bike if you were training for a triathlon, but by no means would I throw this frame out. I will absolutely fix this frame one way or the other, but I wanted to point that out, and let me show you a couple other things. All right, a couple things here. This bike's a little bit shorter. I'm measuring it at like a 53 or 54 centimeter bike, which might be a little bit more comfortable for hopping on and off. I'll tell you, for me, and I'm 5'10", if I stand over the silver bike with my feet flat, the top bar just touches my taint. On this bike, there's a good inch or so of clearance if my feet are flat. Overall, I think this is a cooler bike. I mean, it's in rougher shape, but like for instance, this was made in England. This 3-speed internal gear hub, which I can repair, was made in England. So for a bike guy, I mean, this is kind of a cooler bike. These little nuts with the R on them are actually collectible. You should look it up on eBay. You'd be surprised what those things sell for on eBay. It's also lugged steel, so this would have been handmade in England. There's just cool details, right? So the chain ring here, I know that looks crappy, but that will clean up and look brand new. And those are Raleigh's logo are birds. There is another bird on this thing, which I think I can get all that rust off and polish it and make it look really nice. Obviously needs new wheels and tires. Obviously needs a new seat. I already have a couple of ideas. I have this brand new seat. The seat itself, I think, is not real leather, but I also have, I bought it separately, but this bike pouch that's real leather that I thought would look really sharp on here. Obviously, that old metal frame will come off. But I thought that would look super nice on this green bike. A little tool pouch or whatever you wanted to put in there, and that'll hang down a little bit nicer. Okay, here's the other thing. I have the exact fenders for this bike, and these fenders came off of your cousin Christy's bike. She has a very similar bike. And there's some touch-up paint on them, but I've already gotten all the rust and cleaned them up, and they're the originals. They say Nottingham, England stamped on the back, and they're in great shape compared to what's on there. So these ones need to come off. But it's not a very sunny day, but I thought that white or beige color against the green would look super nice. In general, I don't like fenders. I usually take them off, but I have these and they fit. So that could potentially be an option. The other thing I was going to mention on this, when I was riding it, it's kind of a leaned over stance. I would highly suggest, well, for me, I like to sit up straight, so I would suggest changing these handlebars out to something where you could sit up a little straighter. And possibly the same thing on this one. This one's going to need new handlebars anyways, unless you really like the rustic patina look. All right, let me know what you think. Two more quick thoughts before I wrap this up. Troy found this bike, so we're starting at $0 on this. Everything on this bike, I'm only gonna charge you for what it cost me. So we're starting at nothing on here. So that might help out a little bit. And then another idea on this, I think this bike would make a real cool fixie. I have no idea if that interests you at all, but I know you're super athletic and coordinated and into, like, you know, walking on your hands and stuff. If you have any interest in a fixie bike, and that, if you don't know, that's where the where there's only one gear in the back, and if you pedal backwards, the bike goes backwards. If you pedal forwards, the bike goes forwards. You can never stop pedaling. You know, you pedal backwards for brakes, like the bike couriers ride in the city. If that interests you at all, I think this would make a really cool fixie. And the idea there is, like, you strip everything off of it, so there's no longer brake cables and shifter cables and chain rings and gear, so it looks a lot cleaner. It's a lot lighter, zero maintenance, but it's more of a challenge or more fun to ride. So if that interests you, just a thought.